Growing up in a single-parent family home, I lived mostly just with my mom and my brother, and in the congregation it was pretty tough because there was no man in the home, no elder, father, slash husband. We were kind of deemed as the bad family or the weird family, and nobody really associated much with us. We weren't really invited out to a lot of gatherings. We didn't really get a lot of privileges, as they call them, so it was pretty isolating. And my mom, she was also dealing with a lot of mental issues, so she would kind of come into the meetings with her head down and leave really quickly, so me and my brother were just kind of isolated with her as well. We just kind of went where she went. So it was a really hard situation, and when my father did live with us for a little bit of time, our reputation was a little bit better all of a sudden because there's a man in the house. Even though there was abuse going on at home and my parents weren't getting along, as long as there was a man in the house, there was more respect for the family all of a sudden. So that's a little bit frustrating. But yes, I did pioneer twice. I did pioneer as a Jehovah's Witness, and I did everything that the Jehovah's Witnesses ask of you. I was really, really dedicated Jehovah's Witness. When I was about 11 years old, I was sexually abused by an elder actually in the congregation, and I had reported it to the police because I was at the hospital already for a suicide attempt, so that is how the accusation came out and was reported to the police. Of course, when the elders in my congregation found out that the police had been involved, instead of showing any, sympathy or concern for me, they were actually quite upset that we had spoken badly about the organization to the authorities. So I never got any help or anything from the elders. And the elder who abused me, they actually fled the country, and another elder helped them leave, basically, and covered it up. So it was pretty crazy experience for me, and as an 11-year-old, it was very impactful and quite traumatizing, just the whole experience, and not having a lot of support during that time. And it made my family life not much better as a Jehovah's Witness. So image is very important in the organization, especially in your family life. So my parents 90% of the time never got along, and there was a lot of abuse in the family, and I remember my mom always crying and angry, and my dad always angry and yelling, and yet at the meetings my dad would act differently on stage and say the right things on stage. And I remember this one time me and my brother weren't acting how we were supposed to act, with a big smile in front of everybody at the meeting. We were just being ourselves, and ourself was actually quite depressed. So I was just sitting there being myself, and an elder walked by. I don't know if it was an elder or a CEO. It was one of them at the time, but they walked by, my father and me and my brother, and my dad, I was sitting on my dad's lap at the time, and my dad whispered in my ear while he was pinching me really hard, basically to control me in that situation. He told me smile really big, and if you smile, I'll get you an ice cream later. And so I remember smiling, mostly because I was being pinched. I didn't want to be pinched anymore. So I smiled, and the elders saw. And basically what that did was tell the elders, my family's great. Look, my kids are happy. I don't know what is being told to you guys about my family, but we're great. So that was really hard, because then anytime I went to the elders to talk about anything going on in my life, or my mom would complain about her marriage, no matter what was told, the image didn't line up with it. So you basically don't get taken seriously, and it just really sucks because you can't live your authentic self. You have to pretend to be perfect and pretend to be happy, when a lot of times that's not really what's happening behind closed doors. So like I said, a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of faking it, and I feel like a lot of men in the organization get the upper hand and get to control the situation around them. So yeah, women are a lot lower and just have to do what they say. So yeah. So in the WASH organization, there's a policy that unless there's 2 witnesses to a crime, specifically a sexual abuse crime, you can't report to the police. So in my case, when I was sexually abused, there was no 2 witnesses. There wasn't 2 other people watching the crime happen, because that almost never happens. So although I did report mine to the police because mine was, I had confessed it in the room full of authorities. There was no elders there when I said something. It was taken to the police, but most of the time, people are actually asked to report these cases to the elders directly, and when you report this to the elder, they will ask you, is there 2 other people who saw this crime happen? And when you say no, then they'll basically just say, leave it in Jehovah's hands, and they'll do nothing about it. They won't report it to the police. And I remember, even though I had reported to the police, and when I was talking to my elders after, they were really upset that it had gone to the police. Like, they were saying, why did you go to the police? Why did you tell them anything? Why didn't you keep it in the congregation? And I remember they basically, with their body language and the way they were talking and not showing me any concern, they basically were taking the side of the person that hurt me, because the person was an elder. And I remember the elder that told me, he was like, well, just leave it in Jehovah's hands. Jehovah will take care of it. Basically meaning, don't worry about it. Don't do anything about it. Just leave it alone. And that's quite common in the organization when these things happen, and it's really bad because then, one, the victim doesn't get any healing. They don't get any counseling or anything. They just have to move on, and the predator gets away with it and doesn't get in trouble, and potentially they can hurt someone else. So it's quite a dangerous doctrine that the Jehovah's Witnesses use, and they use this doctrine from a scripture in the Bible, but they completely take that scripture out of context, so it's very wrong. Yeah, so some of the elders that were aware of this situation, both in the new congregation that this elder fled to, and in the congregation that I was still in, was constantly trying to get me to reverse my allegations to the police, try to clear this man's name, and they would use a lot of intimidation to me when they were telling me to do this, kind of saying things like, you won't be close to, people in the congregation, people won't like you anymore unless you do this. Just very manipulative, and so that was really hard because I wasn't going to change my stance because that I believed would happen, so I wasn't going to change that. So that was really difficult, and they also would, this one elder told me that I was not sexually abused because if I had been sexually abused, that quote unquote I would have squealed like a pig, and apparently I didn't squeal like a pig, so nothing happened. That's what they said to me. So yeah, it's definitely not something you want to deal with a bunch of people who have nothing, they have no idea how to handle these situations. These things should be dealt with specifically with professionals. And not only that, I was sexually abused by a man, and it was a bunch of men always interrogating me about it and taking his side. So it's very traumatizing, to be honest, yeah. So being a woman in the Jehovah's Witness organization, it's very difficult. It feels like you are 1,000 years behind in society, in our rights. So women are here and men are here and children are here. So women and children are basically the same, rights-wise. And women are, what their opinions are usually final say, or sorry, they're not final say. What your opinions are just opinions. At the end of the day, the man has the final say, whether you're married or not. And your dress code, women are only allowed to wear certain types of clothing, nothing too revealing. So in their opinion, wearing something above your knee is revealing. You can't wear anything too low. You can't wear anything too form-fitting. You can't wear anything too colorful, anything that draws attention to yourself. Even nail polish, I would wear pink nail polish because I like color, and the elders would constantly get mad at me for that, or tell my mother that I shouldn't be wearing this type of thing. But yet, I remember my brother, he's a male, and he never really got told at all what to wear, what he couldn't wear. There was no real rules, other than wearing a suit, but really, there was no rules. So, as a woman, you're really controlled in many ways, and in the congregation, men have a lot of different privileges that they can attain. As a woman, the highest thing you can ever be really is a pioneer or a missionary, but it's basically the same thing, just a bigger version of pioneering. So you can't give talks on stage, you can't even hand a microphone around for people at the congregation. It's literally just knocking on people's doors is what you can do, and cleaning. They love for women to be the cleaners at the congregation meetings. So very low privileges that women are allowed to have. They're not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to speak publicly. They're not allowed to give prayer publicly. And if they are giving a prayer when there's other men around, they have to wear a head covering just to show their submissive attitude towards men. So yeah, and then of course this kind of principle in the congregation can go into people's family life. So, you know, when you're married or when you're a daughter in the house, things like that too. So my brother is younger than me. He's 2 years younger than me, and he's a great guy. I have nothing against him, but just as in the congregation, because he is a male, when he hit a certain age, because my mom and me, my brother, were living by ourselves, when he hit a certain age and he was now baptized himself, he now became head of the house. They like to call him head of the house, even though my mother is the head of the house. She should be, right? She's the parent, and he's 16 years old. But I remember an elder came to my brother and told him, because you're a male and you're baptized now, you are now the head of the house. And I remember my brother told my mom this: I'm the head of the house, I get to make the decisions for the family. And my brother didn't even seem comfortable with it. It's not like he didn't even want to do this because he's a child. But when my mom heard this, that's the rebellious side of her. She didn't want to accept this new way it was going to be. She didn't like it. But the elders were constantly reminding him of his new role, being the man of the house. So, yeah. Yeah. So I left the Watchtower with my husband when I was 23 years old. We woke up together, which was a blessing because so many couples don't wake up together. So we were very lucky that we woke up together. And it was quite random. We were pioneering at the time, and we stumbled across some information on the internet, which you're not supposed to do, and started investigating what we were reading about the Watchtower's history. And when we found out that what we were researching was true and that the Watchtower was not the truth, we had to come up with a decision of what to do, and we decided we didn't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. And we confided some of our discoveries, which are true discoveries. They're true. You can find them yourself. When we told our family what we found out, our family, my husband and the brother actually told one of the elders what we were talking about. And so the elders contacted us, and long story short, eventually they charged us with apostasy, that we were apostates. And so we got disfellowshipped within 2 weeks of all that happening and lost all our family and friends. We were shunned. Once you leave the Jehovah's Witness organization or speak out against them, whatever the case is, if you don't believe in the Jehovah's Witness organization anymore, you will be shunned. So we've been shunned now for about 5 years, and we've made some YouTube videos to share our story and to bring some awareness of the things that are going in the Watchtower. So we left, and it's been hard because we've been shunned and we've had to rediscover things. But I will say it's the best decision I've ever made, and especially the past 2 years, I've really been thriving and making new changes in my life, and I'm a lot happier out, and I would never go back. So, yeah. So Jehovah's Witnesses say that anyone who no longer believes in their organization is an apostate. Even something as simple as you don't believe in a doctrine, or you don't believe in their leaders being 100% guided from God. If you don't believe in that, you're an apostate. Or if you even claim to read the Bible without their organization helping you understand the Bible, if you read the Bible by yourself and you don't want them to help you, then you're an apostate. So biblically, that's not what an apostate is, but in their organization, that's what an apostate is. And essentially, an apostate is the worst sin you can commit in their eyes, worse than a murderer, worse than a pedophile, and it's a really strong label they put on you because it makes people in the organization, other Jehovah's Witnesses, afraid of you, and it keeps you silent. It keeps them from knowing anything about what you know, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to talk to you. They're afraid of you, and they're not allowed to speak to you. So anything that I know about the organization, because I'm an apostate, nobody's going to come and ask me what I know. They're afraid, and they stay far away. So it's a good controlling tactic that the Watchtower has. So thinking about how the fact that my abuser and even this other elder who was grooming me at a young age, that these people today are in good standing in their congregations and have their own family and everyone likes them and they don't have a bad reputation, no one's giving them a hard time. Yet me, the one who was hurt by these people, I'm shunned by all my family. I'm not allowed to talk to my old friends just because I do not believe that their leaders are 100% speaking from God, because I don't believe that I'm shunned and my family can't talk to me and I'm missing out on my little cousins and nieces and nephews and all those people growing up. Even my younger sisters, I'm not allowed to see them. So it's really hard and unfair, but I feel though, I still feel happy though, because I feel I have freedom and they don't. So I can be my true self now. So since I've left the Watchtower organization, I've gone to a couple churches, Christian churches. I didn't go right away because I was pretty spiritually burnt by the Jehovah's Witness organization, although when I did leave, I still believed in God. I never stopped believing in God personally, but I was kind of triggered by organizing people together and talking about God just because of what I've gone through. So Jehovah's Witnesses really do feel burnt, and that's really sad. But I've discovered as I've been healing and, just getting longer outside the organization, that I've been able to have some courage to try out some churches. And not because you have to go to church. You don't have to go to church. God does not require you to go to church to be saved. But I think it's nice to not only have community, but you do get to experience the real version of the Christian faith through these people. So I've gone to a few churches here in Calgary, and both of them have been very kind. Not love bombing in the sense that you feel like they're not being sincere and they're just trying to be nice to you to recruit you, but they feel like real, genuine, just nice people. And it's been really refreshing actually, and you can go no matter what your stage you are in life, no matter where your walk is with God, you're welcome. I can go with jeans on to church if I want, or I can dress up if I want. It does not matter what I'm wearing. It's all about your heart. It does not matter what you look like. There's people at church who have tattoos, and they're not at the beginning of their spiritual journey in the sense that they're going to change their tattoos as they get, they've believed in God for many years, and yet they have tattoos. That's totally fine. So that's a big difference. Women have rights in the churches I've gone to. They can speak on stage, they can pray for you without another man having to be present. There just seems to be equality within men and women in these churches, and they 100% speak only from the Bible, so they don't have their own manuscripts or their own doctrines. If there's ever a church that does that, I would not go to them. The ones that I've gone to have only used the Bible, and they even encourage you to go and do your own research on what they say. Like, if you ever curious what we're saying, go research it. They encourage research, which is completely foreign. They said you can use your own Bible, whatever translation you want. There's no our way or the highway. They encourage questions. They even say that's healthy to have questions and to have doubts. And they've just been really fun. And they don't just do church. They've gone, like my husband's gone and done like paintball activities with the guys, things that you could never do as Jehovah's Witness. I've done things with the girls, and it's just been fun, like just meeting new people that believe in God, but in a healthy way and in a biblical way, actually biblically, and they've just been really normal, like normal people. So you don't feel like you have to be one way at the church and then you're something different at home. You can be just yourself. So it's been pretty amazing. And I also wear a cross necklace, which would be never allowed as a Jehovah's Witness. I wear a cross necklace now just because I feel close to God, and this is just a reminder for myself. So yeah. So since leaving the Watchtower organization, I've also been able to pursue a lot of my passions and hobbies. One of the main things is fashion, and that was something I was not allowed to embrace as a Jehovah's Witness, even though I did really like it. I was not allowed to embrace it because it is not, you're not immersing yourself with their stuff all the time. You're doing something that's different, and also it's an expression. You're not going to wear what everyone else wears, so they don't allow it. Since leaving, I've been able to embrace that, and I've bought myself a sewing machine, and so I've been able to create a lot of my own fashion pieces. I've made jewelry, and I've been making hair clips, as you can see, and I've been selling them online. So I have a website now, And I've been at a few little events here in my city where I've been selling them in person, which was really exciting, and I'm going to have one in the summertime. I've also been doing some modeling, which is also, you can't do that as a Jehovah's Witness, so that's been a dream of mine. So I've done some fashion shows where I've walked the runway. I've also done some photo shoots, and then I have my own Instagram where I just do my own pictures myself as well, and when I like an outfit I showcase it. So I've really been able to immerse myself in this, and I know it's just the beginning, and I'm really excited, and I'm here to prove that no matter what your age, you can be in the fashion industry. It doesn't matter your age or your size, totally go for it, and there's going to be something for you. But I really like it, and it makes me really happy, and to me it's a form of art and creativity, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So when I walk down the runway of a fashion show, of course initially I have butterflies because there's a lot of people staring at you and I'm nervous, but it goes away pretty quickly because I know that everybody at the show is not there to judge you. They're there because they like fashion themselves and they think it's fun. So I really have fun with it. I feel pretty confident, and I don't know, I really enjoy it. It's like a rush kind of, and it's just fun to know that I'm a part of the whole art of fashion. Like I'm just one part of it, and it's really fun to see it come together, and I'm a part of that coming together, and it's really fun. You have your moment, and you have a lot of friends around you that have fun with it too. And when I was a Jehovah's Witness, every time I'd go to the washroom after the meeting and I had to walk, I always felt like shame. I'd have to have my head down and embarrassed for walking past people and thinking they must be judging me and all these things. But when I'm walking on a runway in front of a bunch of people, I don't think that they're judging me. And I don't feel embarrassed. I feel confident and I feel happy and empowered. So it's pretty cool. I was born in Denmark, and then I moved to Canada when I was 5. So I think being raised in 2 different cultures, I saw a lot of different styles around. So I always thought that was really interesting, but I also had a grandma in Denmark. She was very stylish. Every time I hung around my grandma, she was always wearing something really fashionable, and so I think I looked up to that, and she always would send me accessories, like European accessories in the mail when I lived in Canada, and I would wear them. So I think from a very early age, I just had a lot of fashion influence in my life, and like the people I looked up to was very fashionable themselves. A lot of the times I like to draw my ideas in my sketchbook right here actually, where I'm sitting, because the setup is very creative and comfortable. I also like to sketch near the water if I'm at the ocean. Fortunately, I don't live anywhere near an ocean right now, but that's somewhere I would like to live because I think that would be very inspirational for me. You gather inspiration from different sources. Maybe it's other people's designs, maybe it's fashion shows, maybe it's when you travel. So I get inspiration first, and then I kind of think, how am I going to put that inspiration into a piece? So I have to like do a lot of brainstorming. And then I sketch. So then I sketch what I want to make and see how it looks on paper, add some color to it. And then I just get the materials, whether it's fabric or whether it's beads and metals, and then just start making it and see if it looks good. I like to wear it and see how it looks on me, how I like it, see what other people think about it. And then I like to actually produce it into a large amount of quantities and then put on my website and sell it. People tell me I have a talent. People really enjoy my style and what I make, so I guess just getting people's feedback is when I realized I had a talent. It's a pretty good feeling. It just makes me really happy. I don't know how else to explain it. It just makes me feel happy, makes me feel like motivated, like I have a purpose in life. I think fashion is like art, so I think that when you see it, whether you're wearing it or you see it on someone else, I think it just puts a smile on your face. It makes you feel confident. So all those positive feelings, it makes me happy that the idea becomes reality, I guess. It inspired me to write my book, my first book, because a lot of people that know me, they always ask me why I wear certain things or how I put those outfits together. So I thought it might be easy to just come up with a book and kind of tell people my little tips and tricks on my style, and then people can read it for themselves and get inspired. Currently, I'm also working on a lot of fashion pieces, so accessories, jewelry, and clothing pieces. And I do have a website, but I'm trying to expand it and design more things. One of my favorite quotes from Coco Chanel is that every day is a fashion show and the world is your runway. So every day you wake up, you can be fashionable. You don't have to be in an actual fashion show to be fashionable. You don't have to be famous to wear nice things. Just love fashion, put something nice on, and enjoy life.